that will more than satisfy customers could be one definition of quality. As we said earlier, people don't agree on what the word means, but it's worthwhile to know what different people think it means.
What the customer says it is. If you start there, then you start to work backward, and then everything will feed what the customer wants.
Quality is fitness for use.
A holistic concept.
Adding value to society.
Doing the job right the first time without any rework.
Unter Qualität verstehen wir, den Kunden zufriedenzustellen, dass der Kunde das Produkt erhält, das er sich vorstellt.
It's customer satisfaction.
Meeting our customers' needs.
Even to exceed the customer needs.
Quality is what makes it possible for your customer to have a love affair with your product or service.
Ivory floats right up to you, always there, white and shining.
From the beginning, the sales pitch for Ivory soap was its quality.
It floats.
From its headquarters in Cincinnati, Procter & Gamble goes around the world, staying so close to its customers, marketing consumer products so successfully that in many foreign countries, P&G is believed to be a local firm. Its chief executive is Edwin L. Arts.
And we tend to think in terms of electronic devices or appliances or automobiles or high-tech equipment, but it applies to a diaper or a bar of soap or a sanitary napkin or shampoo just as well, and that is now driving our business.
Selling soap isn't as easy as it used to be.
Visir et la visirette, ça va liquider la saleté. Regarde, on la remplit de visir.
Du, versuch's doch mal mit Ariel. Damit wird's pontief rein, ohne den kleinsten Schatten.
漂柔2合1，徹底洗髮護髮。
普通洗頭水同護髮素，仲點會用啊？
It's no longer enough for American firms to make what they think their American customers want, then sell it around the world. Take the story of Pampers, which all but owned the Japanese disposable diaper market until Japanese companies made a more absorbent diaper. Then P&G had to fight hard to win the market back. It did with quality.
If the toughest market in the world in terms of judging the quality and performance of a disposable diaper is Japan, develop a product that is superior and more successful in the Japanese market and sell it all over the world. That's a tough thing to say, but the standard of quality has not been as high here. And therefore, companies that only manufacture or develop products to meet the U.S. standard may not be meeting the standard in other parts of the world.
Just as national standards matter less than the world standard now, the nationality of a corporation doing business in the global marketplace matters less. Procter & Gamble is an American firm, but it must be as concerned with other countries where it does business as it is with the United States. All major multinational corporations must become citizens of every place they do business, and that's an enormous change.
Corporate headquarters and the nationality of ownership now matters less and less because these global companies are exporting from every country. They're doing complicated things in every country, and they're hiring and getting capital from every country.
We needed to have a presence on the ground so we could get to understand the consumers locally, understand their habits, understand how to communicate with them, and understand how to tailor our products for the different parts of the world where changes would be necessary.
And how to tailor their ads.
من غير ما يتعبني. إزاي؟ شامبو جديد. بارت بلس.
ohne Zucker? Big Blau, ohne Zucker.
As trade barriers have increased, or as the threat of trade wars has increased, it's more important to be in that country, doing it in that country, so that if there is a wall put up, you're still able to sell and be profitable.
So we're moving through a transformation of business, I think that's unprecedented in world history.
Money worldwide goes to wherever the returns are highest. The savings of any company, including the savings of individuals, move and slosh across national borders wherever they can get the best return.
If roses can represent the global marketplace, then the cartoon character Snoopy and his sister Belle can represent a world where national boundaries mean less than they used to. At the Louvre Palace in Paris, a collection of cartoon dolls was assembled for a world tour. Snoopy, the fun-loving beagle, is a character from one of the most commercially successful cartoon strips of all time. People around the world have been reading Peanuts for 40 years. The kids in the strip have remarkably adult problems. The strip was created by the American cartoonist Charles Schulz in 1950. The dolls were made in Southeast Asia, and the costumes were designed by couturiers from around the world, or those parts of the world that have couturiers. To multinational companies, the world is only those places where consumers have money to spend. Japan and a few parts of Asia have joined Western Europe and North America as the world of business, where consumers have enough money to buy luxury cars or high-quality dolls dressed by couturiers or the newest high-tech gadgets. That leaves governments everywhere wondering what to do in a new situation. Daniel Yankelovich is a social researcher and public opinion analyst who says the world economy affects how we live nationally.
I think the national interest of the United States in economic terms is to make sure that the American standard of living is rising rather than falling. Not only does our economic health depend on that, but our social stability and our political health. And I don't think that in the United States we have had a clear vision, and I know we haven't had a strategy for achieving it. Europe is moving in the direction of creating a new economic entity, a European community, a united market, and a major economic force in the world, and I think it's going to happen. The national interest of the Soviet Union is toward creating some kind of economic well-being for their societies where the consumer will, rather than the political parties or heavy industry, will begin to get some of the benefits. The national interest of Japan has been defined by the Japanese as achieving certain economic objectives in the world from the commercialization of technology. They have perhaps had the clearest vision.
Japan was the first country to begin exporting high-quality, low-cost goods. It has exported successfully while protecting its own market from imports, forcing its own people to pay higher prices and angering its trading partners. At MIT, Professor Shoji Shiba of the Japanese Union of Scientists and Engineers tells students how American companies can benefit from Japan's experience and learn to produce quality quickly, but they have to be willing to learn.
This methodology is not invented in the US, so I don't like it. This is another. And also, many people said, prove it to me. We are US companies. The next is cover your ass. Many Japanese companies now saying, I already know it, everything. Many Japanese companies are too much arrogant. They forgot this already. So I predict within 5 years, Japanese company going to decline. I think
Shiba is only one of the Japanese helping to spread quality methods. Joji Arai is Secretary General of the International Productivity Service.
I think that the only way we can keep this world in peace is by generating more value out of the limited resources available, that the people will be able to enjoy a better life.
Thailand is one of the world's lovely countries. It was never colonized, so its people were never exploited by foreigners. For the past few years, it has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world. The United States used to be the biggest foreign investor, but not anymore. The U.S. is now the 4th largest investor. Japan is first. Japan now gives more in total foreign aid than does the United States, generally helping people in Asia build their economies. One day, all these Thais may be driving their own Japanese cars, bought with salaries made at Japanese plants, where they have all learned American quality production techniques, and they are already learning. Interim Prime Minister Anand was head of Saha Union, one of Thailand's larger companies. He thinks the people of Asia are more naturally attuned to quality.
The Asian peoples in general are more sensitive to other people's feelings. So they're more conscious of how they please the others, how they would service the others.
The biggest resources is human quality of people. It's a quality that counts again.
Whereas the Anglo-Saxon race or the people in North America or in Europe, they tend to overlook or to neglect the minute details of things.
Undeniably, the knowledge comes from United States. For example, in the management team of 7 people, 5 have been through Harvard Business School, and next year we are sending another one to Harvard Business School, leaving myself with the only one who never been to Harvard, but I've been to MIT, is the neighbor of the Harvard, just opposite side of the river.
I think that the Americans in particular have not felt the need to go beyond their borderlines, you see. I mean, there was a saying in the past that, you know, to an average American, export is just a transfer of goods from one state to another.
A majority of products we import from United States are raw material, like steel scrap for making construction steel bars and waste paper to make paper here in these countries.
Siam Cement, the largest company in Thailand, has a royal background. Early in this century, King Rama VI created it to help develop his country. Recently, Siam Cement looked for a foreign partner to establish a joint venture toilet company in Thailand. It rejected American and German companies in favor of a Japanese partner that could teach quality production methods. Every day, Thai workers and managers meet with their Japanese managers to study what's been done and how to do it better. What first attracted Japanese investors was cheap labor, but the Thai government now requires more than that. By teaching how to reduce variation and improve the quality of products, the Japanese are making themselves valuable joint venture partners. But more than technical skills gives the competitive edge to Japan.
The Japanese have done very well, not only in Thailand, but in all other parts of Asia and other parts of the globe, because of their willingness to blend with the customs, with the nature of that particular society.
The big difference is joining with the Japanese, they have less lawyers.
There is a total commitment to set up a factory in a foreign country to produce goods of quality comparable to that in Japan and to export.
I think Japanese are more practical.
You see, when the Japanese go to a foreign country, they know that they are setting up a factory in a foreign country, and they have to work within the scope, within the framework, legal or otherwise, of that particular country, with all its shortcomings and weaknesses. But the others, when they go to a country, to a foreign country, they still think that, you know, they're setting up a factory in their own territory. They want to change the rules of the game. They want to level the playing field.
At European Community headquarters in Brussels, in the various European national capitals, and in Washington, officials have generally focused on the rules of international trade. That may be the wrong place to look. Kees van Ham of the European Foundation for Quality Management.
And it was not until competition forced American and European companies that they started looking at a successful strategy of Japanese companies and started to learn about them. And then started to introduce those new strategies, quality-based strategies, into the United States and into Europe. It's, I think, more accepted in Japan than it is in the United States, and it's more accepted in the United States than it is in Europe. So it's a slow evolution, and companies slowly start understanding this new meaning of quality.
The reason why America has lost ground in quality is we failed to recognize the customer. In foreign trade, we haven't gotten close enough to that customer to find out what he or she really wants.
This used to be the Berlin Wall, and that was no man's land. But before and even during World War II, that was the economic center of the city, and it may be the economic center of the city again. Mercedes has plans to put a building there, as do other companies, and that seems right. The end of the Berlin Wall and what has happened in Eastern Europe are political events, but they are the result of what could be called the single most strident customer complaint in economic history.
I also believe that the Russian Revolution, which is taking on right now, is the result of Bon Jovi's and Levi Strauss, not the power of the Pentagons of this world. You talk to East German people today, and they say, we have been watching Western TVs for 10 years. We knew everything that was happening. And this has to be one of the reasons why this took place.
The questions are, what will take place next? How long will it take Eastern Europe to recover economically? The dozen nations of Western Europe are creating a united economy. If Europe becomes a trading bloc, what does that do to international trade?
The strength of Europe is exactly that we have a large diversity of cultures, of languages, of histories, and that we are trying to combine the strengths of those different cultures into one combined new European culture.
We are so increasingly interdependent through investment and trade flows, in particular investment flows, that this concept of sort of competition in the sense of they win or we lose, the zero-sum game is, I think, a little bit obsolete in trade terms.
As the world becomes more interdependent and Europe more united, the individual states of the United States fight among themselves for foreign investments. More than 40 states are represented in offices large and small around the world, doing business as if they were independent countries. Oddly, the states work together to promote American exports, but they have been known to ruthlessly outbid each other for a new foreign plant.
Certainly from the point of view of the United States as a whole, the competition among the states for the prize of an automobile plant from Japan is ruinous.
But when a European company decides it wants to move into the North American market, in particular the eastern part of the U.S., our people are very quick to move and try to encourage them to choose Maryland.
Should the taxpayer of the state fund this? The answer is that from the point of view of the state, it probably makes sense.
It begins to make less sense. In 1980, to attract this Nissan plant, Tennessee paid in tax breaks and other incentives about $11,000 a job. By 1986, Indiana had to pony up the equivalent of $50,000 a job to get the Subaru Isuzu plant. Europe had no incentives until fairly recently. Now, areas with high unemployment try to attract new plants, as do American states that also worry about exports.
We need to, as a country, to take a look at some of the real success stories in exporting, such as the Federal Republic of Germany, and ask ourselves, why is it that you have thousands and thousands of small and medium-sized German companies involved in exporting, and successfully involved?
No, the states have got to step in. We just can't let the rest be won. Perhaps the Germans or even the Canadians would do a much better job than we do. On a per capita basis of promoting trade, we've got to pick up the slack.
Some of the slack is already being picked up by the newly wealthy Japanese, who are traveling in record numbers, almost always following a guide, almost always in groups, moving obediently from one attraction to another. Some of the slack is being picked up by agriculture. It's been an American success since the Civil War. That's when the federal government gave the states land to establish agricultural colleges. Working with county agricultural agents and sharing information, American farmers became the most productive in the world. Agriculture and tourism, however, are not considered the best moneymakers in the global marketplace. They are often associated with less developed economies. The American West is popular with some Japanese. We know at least one Japanese cowboy who rode in the Old West. These Japanese travel agents care more about the modern West. The modern West is where they make their money, putting together tours for Japanese customers with the cowboys or on the ski slopes. Japanese newlyweds like Montana. We don't know why. This is not to suggest that tourism and corn are America's only future. Some high-tech American companies are among the world's best. Motorola, for instance, has transformed itself into one of the world's leading manufacturers of quality products, an award winner.
America's economic strength depends on industry's ability to improve productivity and quality.
The award was accepted by Robert Galvin, then Motorola's chairman, now chairman of the executive committee.
And the act of faith is that it will never cost money to have a quality program, that you will always have lower cost and better products when you have a quality program, and you must believe in that.
We identified, we believe, those people who are the very best in the world in each of the elements of our business, although perhaps not all in one company.
We learned that they did some things better, and we copied some of their processes.
You can't just talk about quality one day a month or one day a week, or at your hot button this year. It's got to be a way of life. And you had better walk the talk, as they say, or your people will see right through it.
I think the single most important thing is that the chief executive officer has to decide that it is his uncompromising objective to accomplish the highest quality standards for that business, and that his personal involvement will be ever evident, and he will be the role model.
While a quality program will not cost you money, you will spend some, as Motorola did to build this automated production line at its plant in Boynton Beach, Florida. The money you spend, you make back, and then some, with faster, better production. It used to take Motorola 30 days to build a pager, usually called a beeper. This line builds the same beeper in 30 minutes. That's revolutionary. So is the way the line was designed.
No longer do you have a situation where the designer can design a product and throw it over a wall and expect the manufacturing organization to simply make it.
All the product developers, the equipment people, the people from marketing, the process people were put together in the room that lies over there, and they were given 18 months to do the project.
The solutions to get there cannot be conventional, evolutionary solutions. People really have to think quite differently about how they approach the process with which they do everything.
They went out and took all of the best ideas they could find and brought them in here. It was basically the elimination of NIH on the program, not invented here syndrome. So basically they said, if there's a good idea and it fits within our plans, we will steal it. So that's why they call it Bandit.
To plan and build a line like this normally takes 3 years. Motorola cut that in half by taking the best of what was already available, including Japanese Seiko robots. Thanks to a sophisticated communication system, the line not only takes the order in, it sends the bill out. Humans obviously maintain the robots and do what the company calls a cosmetic inspection. Does the pager look right? Is there anything the customer wouldn't like?
So it's more than just the factory portion of it. It's the 5 things that the customer wants. He wants the right product, right service, right time, right quality, and right cost. And they can actually today build a pager radio from order entry to the time to ship it in about 28 minutes.
Today, in order to get the quality and the cost you need, you really have to have an integrated team effort, starting with the customers and suppliers and across all the organizations.
An employee who has been with Motorola for 10 years can be fired only with the permission of the chief executive officer, which means that everyone in the organization must be able to make a contribution, and that requires training. The company has a shift to upgrade skills, everything from basic English to advanced statistics. Every employee at every level must take a minimum 40 hours of training each year.
When we were chasing cheap labor, we did it around the world. And we went to places where labor was cheaper. Now, as we start to upgrade our manufacturing processes and reinvest in our factories, we're finding we also have to reinvest in our people skills. It used to be manual dexterity you looked at, and today you're definitely looking at people that can be able to read and communicate along with the engineering group and with the business people and the managers, people that can make decisions.
A corporation like ours that's doing a pretty good job in quality and maybe a world-class job still wastes probably something of the order of 7 or 8 or 9% of their sales revenue on defects in the way they do things. Measurable. These are the quantifiable, not the unquantifiable, which would be in the area of a dissatisfied customer who never buys a product again. You can't even measure that. But just in the quantifiable cost associated with doing things imperfectly, it's about 8 or 9% on a P&L like ours. That's throwing away about $900 million a year for us. So there's just great opportunity there.
Predictably, competition will become more severe in the global marketplace as more companies in more countries adopt a quality management philosophy and begin to produce better goods for less.